In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 books which I wish I read earlier. And these aren't your generic typical books. These are books that I wish I read for business purposes, life purposes, and also just content purposes. So if any of those apply to you, then we will go through that. But before we even touch on any of those books, I got some honorable mentions. And this is coming from someone who doesn't really like to read. In school, when I was reading books, granted, you know, those books were probably some BS. I would always fall asleep. I didn't have the attention span to sit down and read 3 pages. But these books managed to keep my attention and they're just goated, right? So, honorable mentions. And the reason this is not in the list is because this is books I wish I read 5 years ago. And this book wasn't actually available 5 years ago. This was written by my brother, Nero Knowledge, Outsmarting Reality. And I read this book as soon as it came out. Obviously, I got a special copy, hand like a message written inside the book. You guys could probably screenshot and read that. But to put it in simple terms, this book is a must read if you obviously want to outsmart reality. And as I was flicking through the book one more time, I came across this bit that I highlighted. And Nero says, remind yourself constantly that the universe is reacting to your frequency. You are not a victim of life. Life is a victim of you and the frequency you give it. And I said, okay. He's cooking. He's cooking. And obviously there's some more parts I highlighted, and I kind of read this book without a highlighter at some parts. So that's why you see some pages unhighlighted. But this is fundamental. And like, if there's any book that you should read when it comes to mastering life, self-discipline, like self-mastery, anything like that, this is the book you should go to. Plus, it's like £20 or £15 or something like that. Like, so some books are out here being £30, £40, even more. Second up is the Ad Week Copywriting Handbook by Joseph Sugarman. Now, I got this recommendation off TikTok, no, Instagram, funnily enough. And they said if I read this book, you would basically know everything you need to know about copywriting. Now, I have not finished this book, but I think this book is actually really goated. Now, I've learned some copywriting stuff already, but I feel like as I go deeper into this book, it's only getting better. Whereas some books, it's like you get the whole point within the first 100 pages, and then the next 150 pages are just nonsense. Plus, I like the way this is formatted. It's different, and it's a big book. So if you want to know copywriting, apparently this is the guy to go to. One of the best copywriting books around. If you want to know reality, outsmarting reality, simple. Now, let's move on to the 5 books I actually wish I read earlier. And no particular order. So this is just the way I kind of randomly piled them up. And first up, we have Contagious. Now, I cannot believe this. I read this book, I think last year, maybe even this year. And I said, oh my days, as someone that's been in content for like 6 years, this book right here is crazy. If I read this book 6 years ago, I would know everything that I know now. Like, obviously, bar from the experience firsthand, but I would know literally everything I know now. It's ridiculous. I actually read this book without a highlighter. And I think I got a pen. No, maybe I did. Yes, I had a pen for a bit. But like, if you study this book, you probably won't need to do anything else in terms of learning anything about content. You'll just need to apply it and just learn from first-hand experiences on the specific platform. Now, he goes through a 6-step framework, and it basically goes through social currency, triggers, emotion, pub public or publicity, practical value, and stories. And the first, I guess, chapter is Why Things Catch On, which I think is an amazing chapter. And it reminds me almost of the book Purple Cow, which I didn't fully read, but it basically talks about remarkable factors and how you can stand out. So this is a must read for anyone in content, anyone in digital marketing, anyone that wants to grow their business, I guess. Next up is Atomic Habits, and I actually read this book. In fact, I listened to this book on Audible. I don't know if it was legal or not, but I listened to the audio version of this book, and it's phenomenal. It's actually it's amazing. So I thought, let me just buy the books that I've kind of listened to on an audiobook, and this book didn't disappoint. James Clear is an absolute genius. And this book basically speaks about habits, and it essentially says habits are a double-edged sword. Good habits can build you and bad habits can break you. And literally your habits will dictate your future. And you can apply this to any sort of industry or just life that you want. Me, I apply things to content all the time. So when I think in terms of content, I'm thinking, oh shit, okay. If I implement habits into my content, like content habits, and I do good habits instead of bad habits, and James Clear tells you how to make good habits easier and long lasting and how to break bad habits. If I apply those into content terms or business terms, then I will see the compound effect as time goes on. And year by year, if it's compounding, it's ridiculous. So yeah, James Clear is an absolute goat with this one. And I think it's one of the easiest reads ever. And I don't know, man, the words were just flowing. If I had to pick just a line to read to you. So he says, the more deeply a thought or action is tied to your identity, the more difficult it is to change. And he basically says the base premise of you having new habits or better habits or doing things that you know you should be doing is having the identity of the person that actually does that thing. And the identity is a massive part of you having the habit. And, I'm sure Nero speaks about this, and pretty much anyone that has got into self-development, you need to identify, or you need the identity of the person that already has the thing that you want to get or start doing. So if you want to go to the gym, you're not just going to be like, yeah, cool, I'm just going to go to the gym. You need to literally have the identity of someone that goes to the gym and build that up. So every time that you do go to the gym, you're going to be like, yep, I'm a fit and healthy person. And you keep repeating that. And then you literally become that identity, which means going to the gym is no longer a hassle. You're more aligned to a fit and healthy person, which means that you will lose weight. You would actually become fit and healthy. And when it's raining outside, you're not going to be like, fuck, it's raining. You're going to be like, oh, time to hit the gym. I actually love this stuff. So yeah. If we move on to book number 3, it is Brain Scripts. Brain Scripts, I think, who put me onto this? It was either Kai or Nero. This book is this book actually blew my mind. This is for sales, but it also, I feel like sales and marketing go hand in hand. And it basically goes to 21 hidden principles of consumer psychology. Now, one of the first few things that it says is the Life Force 8, which is your 8 primary desires: your survival, enjoyment of life extension, enjoyment of food, beverages, freedom of fear, pain and danger, sexual companionship, comfortable living conditions, to be superior, to win, to keep up with the Joneses, care and protection of loved ones, and social approval. And it basically means that anything that we do in life, whether it seems like it or not, is to fulfill one of these 8 things. So when you're on sales calls or when you're marketing to people, yes, they may say, I want more Instagram followers or YouTube subscribers. But the deeper reason behind that is probably keeping up with the Joneses or for social approval, right? Or maybe they think that, or maybe they've attached followers and subscribers with money. And money means that they can take care of loved ones. Like, no one wants followers for no reason. No one wants money for no reason. There's a deeper reason behind those superficial things that we want, But of course, there's more inside of this book. This book is just absolutely goated. And I think I went back over the first few chapters of this book with a highlighter because I don't know, man. I was like, when I started reading more, I was just reading without highlighters, and then I was like, shit, what did he say in this book? And I just struggled to find it again. So highlighting those important parts and crucial parts, life-changing. So if you're starting to read, grab yourself a highlighter, man, and cook. Now, this book is the 4th one, and I actually haven't finished this. My bookmarker is literally still in this book. It's Parallel Universes of Self by Frederick Dodson. Now, Nero actually recommended this book ages ago, but I only decided to pick it up like a few weeks ago. And it was just in my Amazon like saved for later or wish list. And I was like, you know what, let me just fucking buy this book. Now, I will say this. I am not finished this book, but this book is absolutely remarkable. It's literally everything to do with reality creation. So if you want to manifest or you want to create your own reality, this is the book that you need to read. And like literally within a few pages, I was highlighting shit like a maniac. I was highlighting everything. And I was just like, I never thought I would actually be into this book, but this book is super interesting. Like attracts like. This means the lack will produce more lack and success will produce more success. One thing I will say about this book, though, there's a bunch of spelling errors. Yeah, like typos or spelling errors, but it's still easy to catch on to. A mirror, life, will not smile before you do. All one has to do is find out what you desire, lack, promise to deliver that, and then they can do whatever they want with you. And it's funny because I'm sure there's a book called The Millionaire Fastlane, and it speaks about core sellers and they just promise you the world. And they basically promise what you don't have. And then you will literally do anything to be a part of that program or course. And then once you're a part of it, you realize that you're just producing more lack and you've given away what you did have for something that you're not even going to get. So it's interesting, man. It's interesting. What else does it say? The world cannot give you anything of lasting value. It can only reflect what you're giving yourself. And this whole chapter is literally about self-responsibility, taking control of your life and taking responsibility for your own actions and everything that life is giving to you, because it's basically saying it's your fault. Now, yeah, this book is crazy. It makes you see, well, it's making me see life from a completely different perspective. And I guess taking more accountability for my actions and just it's just, yeah, it's just, I don't even know how to explain it. I can't imagine what the rest of the pages are going to be like. By the way, if any of you guys have read any of these books, let me know what you think of them. Or if you have your own top 5 list, let me know in the comments. Now, last but not least, Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. This is like, I think this is a go-to book for a lot of people that are interested in like behavior psychology and just psychology and persuasion and influence and stuff like that. And I'm sure Robert Cialdini is like a well-known author. I listened to this book on audiobook years ago. And when I listen to audiobooks, sometimes some things just slip past me. So I decided to buy this book again. And I actually haven't started reading it again. But I do remember Scarcity, which was towards the end. In the Scarcity chapter, it basically told a story about how Apple released the iPhone 5, but the availability on the iPhone 5 was like limited, right? So there's a scarcity factor. Not everyone was going to get a copy on the first week or the first day. Or like I said a copy, I mean a phone. They won't get the phone on the first day or first week. So people are literally camping outside. And we see this nowadays with like rare sneaker drops and stuff like that. People are camping outside stores to make sure that they're the first person or one of the first people to get inside so they can maximize the chances of them actually getting the sneaker. People literally did that with the iPhone 5. And there was a girl in line and she was in position 25. In my head, I'm like, 25 ain't bad. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? But she had a huge desire to get this phone. And she was scared that she was not going to make it because she heard that this store in particular had limited availability. That may mean like pre-orders were done and they only have a limited available on day one once you go into the store. She was talking like for hours with people around her, and there was someone in position 23. And there was someone in position 23 and they liked her LV purse. She literally traded her LV purse to be 2 spaces ahead of where she currently is. So she went from 25 to 23 because she thought the 2 spaces were so crucial to getting her iPhone 5. Literally, that's what scarcity can do. It also speaks about authority. It speaks about authority, social proof, scarcity, commitment and consistency, unity, liking, reciprocity, and there's levels of influence. Yeah, this book is a hefty one, 437 pages. Well, that's not really 444 pages. Hefty book, but If you're into behavior psychology, you've probably already read this. If you're into it and if you're not sure you're into it, you probably are into it. If you want to see how people work or just understand people more, it's a must-read book, man. So if I was to lay all these books out so you niggas can't complain saying, what was that book again? Does it all fit? Yeah, perfect. These are my books that I'd recommend. And again, shout out to my bro and these two books here. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video.